Hey guys, First Adam here, bringing you a new updated video for the 8 mod map farming. Over the weekend I put out a poll for my next video, and an alternative 8 mod map farm was the number one item selected. So I began doing some testing to find a cheaper, faster way to run this farm, and one that does not require breach to provide the loot to drop. And so, for that, I have put together this new version. So to go over the new scarabs that we'll be using, we'll first start out with, we'll be running 3 Divination Scarab of Plenty. These add a bunch of magic packs to our maps, as well as these packs have a massive increase to drop divination cards. So we will be getting a few valuable divination cards to coming through and dropping for us. We'll be running 1 Cartography Scarab of Escalation. This makes it so we just have more maps to drop in the area, 10% per map modifier. And also Cartography Scarab of Corruption. This makes it so whenever a map does drop, it's automatically going to be corrupted with 8 mods. This goes for Nightmare maps, T16.5 maps, and normal T16 maps. We'll also be running a Templar Astrolabe for the Shaped Region. And we'll also be running our normal T16.5 map. But this one is a lot easier to come by because we're only looking for 100% quantity of items dropped, 40% increased pack size, and 100% more maps. To go over the atlas, first thing is across this entire bottom here, we'll be taking up all these small map chance drops, increases the maps to drop by additional 2%, as well as shaping the skies. Therefore, maps have a higher chance to drop 1 tier higher, giving us more tier 16 maps and above, as well as increased monster packs. Mounting modifiers to increase the modifiers on our maps, and then shaping the mountains, again, higher chance for tier 16 and above maps to drop, and increased rares in our maps, as well as Underground Kingdom. Running Underground Kingdom because we are adding Abyss to our maps. Abysses spawn a lot of additional pack sizes, white mobs, magic mobs, and rare mobs, and also have caches that you can open up for additional loot. Coming up through the center here, we'll be taking Shaping the World, Overloaded Circuits, and then the entire Quant Wheel. To the right of the Quant Wheel, we have Abyssal Army. We want to take this because we have increased monsters from our abysses and also give us additional XP. Coming up through the right side here, we'll be taking the entire map modifier hat on the Atlas tree, and then down over here we'll be taking Inspired Darkness on the right, just so that for Abyssals have a higher chance to give us those loot caches when we close them. Coming up through the top here, we'll be taking Invasive Adversaries, just so that way 10% of the monster packs in our maps are more rewarding, giving us more chances, as well as these little nodes give us increased pack size. We'll be taking this entire Abyss Wheel, just for that way we have higher chances for Abysses to spawn and more Abysses to spawn. Be sure to take the map item Memory Influence chances. This just increases our chances, so when a map does drop, it's a higher chance for it to be a 16.5 map. As well as we want to take Synthesized Stability because we are running Astrolabes. Just this makes it so we can run the same map over and over again without having to alternate maps to complete the Astrolabe. Coming down on the left side here, we'll be taking Multiplying Modifiers. Again, this just helps increase the modifiers of our maps. And Thorough Exploration, this is so when we kill all the monsters in our maps, when we have at least 50 or less, the map boss is empowered with Wild Whiffs. This does make the map boss harder, but it also increases its loot drop chance for maps and other items. And lastly, we will be running the Searing Exarch Red Altars, so we just want to take the entire Searing Exarch wheel on the top and bottom here for the increased pack size, down here for World of the Exarch and Wrath of the Cosmos. The reason why I'm running Searing Exarch is because I'll be choosing the minion modifier on all altars that spawn. You can choose the player modifier, but that's going to make your maps substantially harder, and if you don't have the defenses for it, it can brick your map. So choosing the minion modifier, you still get a lot of benefit from it, you get a lot of extra currency, and there's a lot of good things that can come from it, like divination cards because of our scarabs. You can get Chaos Orbs drop, Grand Orbs drop for the Searing Exarch, which sell for a lot, and also Annulment Orbs. So a lot of good things can drop from the minion monsters, so it's definitely worth it to run that. So for our maps, we are going to be running Jungle Valley. This is my preferred map because the map boss is not inherently spawned in, so therefore whenever a red altar from the Searing Extract does spawn, it's only ever going to give you either the minion modifier or the player modifier, which is a huge advantage to us. On top of that, we are going to be scrying it from the Dunes map. You can go onto the trade site, look up Scrying Orb for Dunes, and apply it to Jungle Valley. So therefore, the divination cards that drop from Jungle Valley have a chance to be the Fortunate, which is a divine card, and you'll actually get quite a few of these over the course of this entire farm. So now I'll go through and do a complete showcase of how I run these maps myself. Okay, before we run into this, just to give a recap, on the red altars I'll be picking all minion. I know I can run all minion modifiers, so I'm not going to stop to read them, but if you need to, you can always just hit escape to pause the game to read the altars when they pop up. Otherwise, we're blasting this map, killing all mobs as quickly as possible, getting the monsters remaining below 50%, 50 mobs left, so therefore the final boss is empowered by wisps. Loot the map and get out.
My spirits are spent.
Now that we've cleared out the abyss, we just run back through, loot everything.
Another fool for the day.
And there you have it. That is the entire map run. much faster than before. We're no longer waiting around for the breaches to open and close, and there's no backtracking or anything. Just slay everything, loot everything, and get out. So I'll finish running the rest of the maps. I'm going to do this over the next hour, so therefore I can give an accurate breakdown of all the loot that we can earn per hour, and then I'll go over how I plan to sell everything, and then go over what I have sold and the profits you can make from this. Alrighty, just finished running all the maps for the hour. I ran a total of 12 maps within that hour, which is roughly 4.5 to 5 minutes a map. Now, unfortunately, this is my second time recording this. The first time I didn't realize I had my mic muted, and by the time I realized it, I had already deposited all the items and for sale. But I do have screenshots of my tab, so I'm just going to kind of go over those right now. So first is the currency tab. So we got a bunch of bubblegum currency here on the left. I found 1 raw divine. I found 11 the fortunate divination cards. 12 of them is a set, and at 12 you get 2 divines. And then I also found the Ralakash riveted boots. These are the ones with power charge modifiers. These boots are my lucky drop for the 12 maps. These sell for a couple, between 100 to 200 chaos, depending on the roll. But on that, I didn't get any other lucky drops. And for the maps, we have 344 tier 16 maps. We have 18 tier 16.5 maps, and we have a total of 16 nightmare maps. And lastly, for the scarabs, we didn't really find much in scarabs. We were unlucky in that department for this run. We found a couple divination scarabs and 1 valuable harvest scarab that sells about 50 chaos. But in total, we found a couple dozen scarabs that will sell and add to our totals. So now I'm going to go ahead and list everything for sale. I'm going to sell everything through Faustus that I can, and then everything else put onto the trade site and sell that. Alright, one other thing I want to do is I want to give a live demonstration on how I price check my maps. I get a lot of comments about how to sell them, how to price check them, so I figured I'd just give you a live demonstration of what I personally do. We'll start with the 16.5 maps. The easiest thing to do is just to list them all for the same price. You can go through and use Awaken Trade to price check them and find out which ones are valuable, which ones aren't, but that's time that you're spending price checking and time you're not farming, so it eats into your divine per hour. Easiest thing to do is just list them all for a very high price. For 16.5 maps, I start at 1 divine apiece. I list them all for 1 divine. Secondly, nightmare maps, I list them for 60 chaos apiece. Just list them all for 60 chaos, and you just let them sit. And then third, normal tier 16 maps, I list these high for 10 chaos apiece. So we just list them all for 10 chaos apiece. And I already listed all the other ones for 10 chaos apiece. Now that we have all the maps listed, this in total should take you 1 to 2 minutes to list them all. Now we just let it sit. I typically like to let it sit for about 4 to 6 hours. After that, whatever hasn't sold, I reduce the price. For nightmare maps, I will reduce it from 60 chaos to 50 chaos and let it sit for another few hours. And then I'll eventually reduce them to 40 chaos, and then 30 chaos, and then 20 chaos. You just do 10 chaos reduction every few hours until they all sell. For 16.5 maps, I start at 1 divine, and then I'll reduce it to 125 chaos, and then after a few hours reduce it to 90 chaos, then to 75 chaos, 50 chaos, 40 chaos, and then 10 chaos after that reduction for each segment. For the tier 16 maps, I start them at 10 chaos. I typically do a 2 to 3 chaos increment, so I'll start them off at 10. If they just aren't selling, I only sell 1 or 2 of them, then I'll just immediately reduce them down to 7 chaos, and then after that I'll reduce them to 5 chaos, and at 5 chaos is where you'll sell probably the bulk of them, and then you'll usually have a few left over that are just really bad mods or anything. And for those ones, you just sell cheap just to get them out. List them for about 3 to 4 chaos a piece, and they'll be gone instantly. And then once they all sell, you are ready to list your next group. Alright, we are back. It's been about 6 hours since I listed everything for sale, and I have sold most of everything. There's only a few maps left to sell. I think around 30 or 40 or so that are still selling for about 4 chaos. These are the undesirable ones, and they will sell over time. We'll go ahead and start off with the stash tab here. I've gone ahead and converted all the scarabs and general currency into chaos, which is what we see here. We've got a couple other divines from selling a few things in bulk with Faustus. And then for our maps, these are all the maps that I have left to sell. And then here is the total profit from selling the maps. And here is the cost breakdown and loot and profit breakdown for this entire farm. So I did a 1 hour run. In that 1 hour, I was able to complete 12 maps. So the cost to run this for the entire hour, we used 12 Scarabs of Corruption, 12 Scarabs of Escalation, 12 Scarabs of Plenty, 2.5 Astrolobes, and 12 16.5 maps. In total, everything, these things combined, is 2017 Chaos, or 10.19 Divines. As far as the return, so in total, for the Scarabs alone, we made back 643 Chaos, or 3.25 Divine. We found 1 Raw Divine. We picked up and sold 11 Fortunate Divination cards for 358 Chaos. And all the other currency, the bubblegum currency, and in other currency drops related to the towers and everything, is 1,211 chaos. For our maps, I sold nearly all 344 T16 maps. I averaged everything that I sold together for these particular maps, and then rounded down, which gives us 4.5 chaos per map. Sold a little bit below than what I was expecting, but I wanted to sell these fast for the sake of the video. So in total, we made 1,548 chaos, or 7.82 divines. For the 16.5 maps, I sold a few at 1 divine, a few at 125 chaos, a few at 75 chaos, a few at 50 chaos, a few at 40 chaos, and so on and so on. Averaged out to be 83 chaos per map, equaling 1,494 chaos, or 7.55 divines. For the nightmare maps, same thing. I started them high, and as I sold them, I kept track. Averaged out to be 49 chaos apiece. So we made 784 chaos from the nightmare maps, or 3.96 divines. I also sold the Relic Hash boots for 375 chaos. In total, we made 6,611 chaos. When we subtract the cost to run the 2017 chaos, we made a net profit of 4,594 chaos, which is 23.2 divines. This equals out to be 383 chaos per map, or 1.93 divines per map, which is also the same 23.2 divines per hour. So that is the entire results of this strategy. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this new take on this farm. If you liked the video, I appreciate the like and the comments and the subscriptions to the channel, so that way you stay up to date with any future content that I will release and streams, and also any polls that I might release for upcoming content that you guys may want me to do. With that, thanks for watching.